Surely God would not have created such a being as man, with an ability to grasp the infinite, to exist only for a day. No, no, man was made for immortality. Gold is good in its place, but loving, brave, patriotic men are better than gold. I was born and have ever remained in the most humble walks of life. A man watches his pear tree day after day, impatient for the ripening of the fruit. Let him attempt to force the process, and he may spoil both fruit and tree, but let him patiently wait, and the ripe pear at length falls into his lap. If once you forfeit the confidence of your fellow citizens, you can never regain their respect and esteem. Never regret what you don't right. Any people anywhere, being inclined and having the power, have the right to rise up, and shake off the existing government, and form a new one that suits them better. This is a most valuable, a most sacred right, a right, which we hope and believe, is to liberate the world. When I am getting ready to reason with a man, I spend 1/3 of my time thinking about myself and what I am going to say, and 2/3 about him and what he is going to say. The highest art is always the most religious, and the greatest artist is always a devout person. The time comes upon every public man when it is best for him to keep his lips closed. My paramount object in this struggle is to save the Union, and is not either to save or to destroy slavery. If I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it, and if I could save it by freeing some and leaving others alone, I would also do that. The way for a young man to rise is to improve himself in every way he can, never suspecting that anybody wishes to hinder him. With the fearful strain that is on me night and day, if I did not laugh I should die. The people will save their government, if the government itself will allow them. 77 years ago our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. These capitalists generally act harmoniously and in concert to fleece the people, and now that they have got into a quarrel with themselves, we are called upon to appropriate the people's money to settle the quarrel. I know that the Lord is always on the side of the right, but it is my constant anxiety and prayer that I and this nation may be on the Lord's side. I can make more generals, but horses cost money. I don't know who my grandfather was, I am much more concerned to know what his grandson will be. I am humble Abraham Lincoln. I have been solicited by my friends to become a candidate for the legislature. My politics are short and sweet, like the old woman's dance. We here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. If you think you can slander a woman into loving you, or a man into voting for you, try it till you are satisfied. Upon the subjects of which I have treated, I have spoken as I have thought. I may be wrong in regard to any or all of them, but, holding it a sound maxim that it is better only sometimes to be right than at all times to be wrong, so soon as I discover my opinions to be erroneous, I shall be ready to renounce them. Knavery and flattery are blood relations. Don't swap horses in crossing a stream. It is a great piece of folly to attempt to make anything out of my early life. I do not expect the Union to be dissolved, I do not expect the house to fall, but I do expect it will cease to be divided. It will become all one thing, or all the other. The things I want to know are in books. My best friend is the man who'll get me a book I ain't read. I want it said of me by those who knew me best, that I always plucked a thistle and planted a flower where I thought a flower would grow. Towering genius disdains a beaten path. It seeks regions hitherto unexplored. You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. No man has a good enough memory to be a successful liar. The philosophy of the schoolroom in one generation will be the philosophy of government in the next. Government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Most folks are as happy as they make up their minds to be. The ballot is stronger than the bullet. Always bear in mind that your own resolution to succeed is more important than any other. Be sure you put your feet in the right place, then stand firm. I am not bound to win, but I am bound to be true. I am not bound to succeed, but I am bound to live by the light that I have. I must stand with anybody that stands right, and stand with him while he is right, and part with him when he goes wrong. I will prepare, and someday my chance will come. I am a firm believer in the people. If given the truth, they can be depended upon to meet any national crisis. The great point is to bring them the real facts. My great concern is not whether you have failed, but whether you are content with your failure. Don't worry when you are not recognized, but strive to be worthy of recognition. The best way to get a bad law repealed is to enforce it strictly. As I would not be a slave, so I would not be a master. This expresses my idea of democracy. My dream is of a place and a time where America will once again be seen as the last best hope of Earth. I like to see a man proud of the place in which he lives. I like to see a man live so that his place will be proud of him. No man is good enough to govern another man without the other's consent. That some achieve great success is proof to all that others can achieve it as well. Let's have faith that right makes might, and in that faith let us, to the end, dare to do our duty as we understand it. Discourage litigation. Persuade your neighbors to compromise whenever you can. As a peacemaker, the lawyer has superior opportunity of being a good man. There will still be business enough. Marriage is neither heaven nor hell, it is simply purgatory. The probability that we may fail in the struggle ought not to deter us from the support of a cause we believe to be just. No matter how much cats fight, there always seem to be plenty of kittens. A friend is one who has the same enemies as you have. At what point then is the approach of danger to be expected? I answer, if it ever reach us, it must spring up amongst us. It cannot come from abroad. If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. As a nation of freemen, we must live through all time, or die by suicide. If this is coffee, please bring me some tea, but if this is tea, please bring me some coffee. If we could first know where we are, and whither we are tending, we could then better judge what to do, and how to do it. 59_Public sentiment is everything. With public sentiment, nothing can fail. Without it, nothing can succeed. All the armies of Europe, Asia, and Africa combined, with all the treasure of the earth, our own excepted, in their military chest, with a Bonaparte for a commander, could not by force take a drink from the Ohio, or make a track on the Blue Ridge, in a trial of 1,000 years. We should be too big to take offense and too noble to give it. What kills a skunk is the publicity it gives itself. Sir, my concern is not whether God is on our side. My greatest concern is to be on God's side, for God is always right. How many legs does a dog have if you call his tail a leg? 4. Saying that a tail is a leg doesn't make it a leg. You can fool all the people some of the time, and some of the people all the time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. All that I am, or hope to be, I owe to my angel mother. Character is like a tree and reputation like a shadow. The shadow is what we think of it, the tree is the real thing. I don't like that man. I must get to know him better. I do the very best I know how, the very best I can, and I mean to keep on doing so until the end. When I do good I feel good, when I do bad I feel bad, and that's my religion. We the people are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution. It has been my experience that folks who have no vices have very few virtues. Important principles may, and must, be inflexible. I have always found that mercy bears richer fruits than strict justice. Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves, and under the rule of a just God, cannot long retain it. Labor is prior to, and independent of, capital. Capital is only the fruit of labor, and could never have existed if labor had not first existed. Labor is the superior of capital, and deserves much the higher consideration. Do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friends? The shepherd drives the wolf from the sheep's throat, for which the sheep thanks the shepherd as his liberator, while the wolf denounces him for the same act as the destroyer of liberty. Plainly, the sheep and the wolf are not agreed upon a definition of liberty. This country, with its institutions, belongs to the people who inhabit it. Whenever they shall grow weary of the existing government, they can exercise their constitutional right of amending it, or exercise their revolutionary right to overthrow it. He has a right to criticize, who has a heart to help. With malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right, as God gives us to see the right, let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds. You have to do your own growing no matter how tall your grandfather was. I do not think much of a man who is not wiser today than he was yesterday. A house divided against itself cannot stand. A woman is the only thing I am afraid of that I know will not hurt me. Avoid popularity if you would have peace. Every man is said to have his peculiar ambition. Whether it be true or not, I can say, for one, that I have no other so great as that of being truly esteemed of my fellow men, by rendering myself worthy of their esteem. How far I shall succeed in gratifying this ambition is yet to be developed. I remember my mother's prayers and they have always followed me. They have clung to me all my life.